Welcome everybody. I have OhGeesy on the line. We're interviewing him, talking about everything he's done so far. From Shoreline to the solo work to everything in between. We are very familiar. We've done a lot of work with him and the crew at Double XL, and he's no stranger to us. We're no stranger to him. So we just really catch up and get to hear him kind of talk at length about what he has going on now. What's up, OhGeesy?
Man, what's up, man? I feel good. My first solo project about to drop, so I'm feeling good as hell, man. It's a whole new experience. It's a whole new path. It's everything new. Everything feel new. Everything feel fresh. I'm excited.
Right. No, I'm happy to hear it for sure. So we can start at the beginning. I know you started out in graffiti. I knew about that, for a while, but kind of how did that lead to you rapping? Were you rapping before that? Did you always wanted to rap but you were already doing something else? Like, kind of how did you get there?
Man, I've been doing graffiti since I was in elementary school, so I've always been like a badass little kid. And when I was in elementary school, I remember it crossed my mind like wanting to rap, but I never really did it. So, but it was always a thought in my mind. It was just like there wasn't really no Hispanic rappers like that was doing it, but and I mean there was Hispanic rappers doing it, but they wasn't doing it how I'm doing it now and how I wanted to do it. You feel me? The way I'm doing it now is I guess how I always pictured it. So it just wasn't a thing. So it was something that always crossed my mind, but I never got to do it. I kept doing graffiti. I did graffiti my whole life up until this point, really. And then so yeah, it just all came together. All my best friends, the whole Shoreline Mafia, the OTX was a graffiti crew that I'm turning into a label now. That's my brand. That's everything. That's everything. That's like the whole lifestyle. That shit's just it all came from graffiti. That whole vibe. You feel me? All my friends that I met my whole life, everything we've ever been through, everything we've ever done, it all just like stemmed from there.
Right. So they were already, so I'm assuming like they were also doing graffiti, but they were already like in music or like kicking the idea around. And you kind of
Nah,
saw that it was like, this is my chance, or how did that happen?
nah. So like, I guess just like, I guess the whole point of graffiti is just like, it's like an attention thing. You feel me? I want everyone to know who the fuck I am. I want everyone. I want everyone to see my name. I want it. So it was like an ego thing. So rapping just went along with it. Like just talking that shit. Like spitting that shit, letting you know I'm the one.
Right. Right.
So it just went hand in hand.
When did you feel like all right, this rap thing is really starting to go somewhere, we can really do something with this, or it became something that you started to take really really seriously?
When I was like 19, I think I just started. I got my first mic, and I was just like, I'm gonna do it. You feel me? Like I seen. I think one of the people that was out, fresh out when I was like 18, 19 was Rocky. Rocky was doing that shit, and I just seen like it was just like a young, fresh movement. You feel me? So he was fly as fuck. I felt like I was fly as fuck. I was like, man, I want to rap too. So I just picked up a mic, started doing it, and I've been doing it ever since.
Right. um I know that Shoreline, y'all were basically together, y'all were hanging out, y'all were all together before you had the name like Shoreline Mafia. Y'all were just like friends, right?
Mhm.
What that was, from what I remember, that was like 2012. Is that still accurate? Was that like accurate?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So back then, y'all figure out the name. Basically, 2017 to 2018. That's really when you guys start moving and start rolling.
hmm
At this point, you haven't been rapping that long. At that point in kind of the group's existence, but like, how are you like developing like as an artist? Like, how are you getting better at like making songs and making hooks and getting more used to the studio and stuff like that? Like while you were on that ride.
I think it was really just the traveling and just opening my mind up and then seeing how the culture is all around the world. I think it just made me want to be a better artist and it made me want to focus on it more. And even with throughout my whole Shoreline career, I think I did a little bit more partying than sitting down and fucking really thinking about shit. So being on my path right now, my solo career, I feel like I'm better than ever before. I feel like I'm more polished, I'm cleaner because I sit down and I think about shit. On top of that, I have my son, So it made me really want to take my craft seriously.
Right. And I think too, something that kind of just hit me is like try to develop, right, as an artist when you're in a group and y'all are already popping and it's kind of happening out of nowhere and you're
Mhm.
trying to enjoy that experience while also trying to get better as an artist and you're so young. Like that's a lot to ask from anybody. Like at the
Yeah,
end of
nah,
the
for
day.
sure.
Like
And then on top of that, going from not ever traveling anywhere in my whole life to just going every day, different
right.
places for like a year straight. That shit was kind of like, it was kind of too much. It was a lot of pressure, and it wasn't too much, but it was just like it just I'm trying to live life, experience shit. So I just
Mm-hmm.
didn't get to I didn't get to work on my craft as much as I should have. But now I feel like I'm doing it and I'm taking all the right steps I need to. And I just think my solo career about to be amazing.
Right. Kind of what are the kind of like the positives that you think you took from like being in a group and like learning how to be around other artists and just learning how to make music and stuff like that?
Man, the whole thing was a big learning experience. Like I feel like it is for anyone though, solo or group. Not
Mm-hmm.
you feel me. The first few years is just learning. Learn all the shit that doesn't work, all the shit that do work, and so the whole thing was learning, and that's why I feel like now that I'm doing my solo shit, I get to take out, erase all the negatives and take all the benefits, everything positive I learned and really turn up.
Right. You talked about, even from the start of the conversation about, being a solo act and stuff like that. Even back when you were in a group, you had solo songs and stuff like that. You had like
Mhm.
the non majors and like big songs like that. But like what's that like? Like what is it like for you making music like by yourself? Like and coming up with the ideas and kind of fleshing everything out.
I feel like I've always been like the a big idea maker. I played a big role in coming up with a lot of the creatives and ideas. So I feel like nothing's really changed. I'm just doing it by myself.
Mm-hmm. Right. Kind of what makes you like even back then, because that's not a totally natural thing for everybody, right? Like where they make
Mhm.
music and they're like, all right, I'm gonna take charge and kind of come up with the idea and decide what we're gonna do or kind of how I want to approach it. Kind of how did you like how did it click for you? Like, all right, I'm gonna take charge and like even not even taking charge, just sharing your ideas because even that's a lot. Like putting it out there, this is what I want to do, this is the kind of stuff I want to make. So you
I,
go
I,
from there to now when you have full control over it, it's just you. Like
you
kind
know
of how do you
you,
get
you
there?
the crazy part about it is that now that I'm doing my solo thing, I'm actually having like I feel like I have more of a team now than ever before. Like I got a team of creatives, like my videos, my boy Austin has been coming up with all the treatments, doing everything with me. I almost feel like I'm doing less now, but it feels like I'm doing more at the same time. You feel me? Like, because it feels like everyone in my team is like really calculated and we're doing everything perfect and on point.
Right. Um, okay, so post after you guys broke up, when did you feel like kind of how did you look at it like, becoming a solo artist? Because, sometimes when groups split up, everybody doesn't like delve right back into the music. You
Mm.
really pretty much did that and started making music kind of almost immediately, and then like that leads you to GeezyWorld. So
I,
kind
I,
of
I, my bad. Keep
go
going.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I almost feel like, I mean, that's what it looks like from the outside, but it's kind of like it's not this shit. This shit wasn't overnight. It was kind of something that was like leading up to for like since almost the start,
Mm-hmm.
basically. So the whole 4 years, it was kind of like just make the whole 3-4 years, whatever it was with Shoreline. It was kind of like almost waiting to end as soon as it started. So this whole like me getting back into doing my shit, that's like 4 years in the making.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Well, I know, right. I mean, it's like shocking to me, of course, from the outside looking in. But
yeah.
right, like I get that. That makes sense, right? Because it also kind of explains why, like, even with you,
And I feel
go ahead.
like that's what, my bad. I'm sorry to cut you off. I feel like that's what stopped my growth with the Shoreline shit, because it was almost like so much background shit going on that it was like that's why I didn't get to focus on the music. I didn't get to, my mind was just in totally different places. But now I feel like my mind is in the most healthiest mind state I've ever been in a long time. So that's why I know this GeezyWorld shit really about to go crazy.
Right. And I mean, you seem very comfortable, you know, being just a solo act and doing stuff like that, and that's not always the case when people, you know, come out of groups. You don't seem overwhelmed by the moment, and I think you also know that like people still know who you are either way, you know. So like you can
Yeah,
like you don't
sure.
have to like really second guess it. Like you have the music you've already made, people already know what you've done. Um, even you know, so you saying that it was kind of like waiting to be over and you kind of having it in your head. So that basically means like even like back then or even when you first started, you always kind of felt like one day you would be like a solo act at some point, basically.
It wasn't that I wanted to be a solo act. It kind of was just like once we took off, the vibe wasn't there no more.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's nothing that the label did. It's nothing that no one did. It just wasn't there. You feel me? It's like trying to make a relationship work
Right.
with a girl and a guy that's just not working. You feel me?
Right.
The vibe
So
wasn't there. So I kind of always like imagine like, okay, this shit not gonna work forever. So something's got to give.
so when it was and then so then when you were a solo artist, you already kind of you had in mind like what you would want. Like even now you're talking about like your team and how it feels like you're doing less as opposed to you know
Mm-hmm.
having to do more. You already just because you already knew what you would want when it was just you and kind of what you were looking for.
Exactly, and I feel like my team is so strong now that it just they just add to everything. They don't take away from nothing.
Right. Right. Um okay, so kind of how did you come to the conclusion like all right, you're going to put out a song here, a single there as opposed to like you like leaving Shoreline and then jumping right into like a mixtape immediately or something like that? Kind of how did you
Man,
like pace it
man,
out like this?
I wanted to shit. I feel like everybody would want to. I wanted to put out the fucking 20 something song album, and the label was like, nope, the fuck, that's not how this works. but we came up. My team sat me down. My management, my label. I sat down. I'm really close to my label people. Like they like family to me. So we sat down and really strategized what we gonna do. And now it's time. I think it's time. Everything's coming into fruition, and I'm ready for it.
um so as a solo act, what artists do you feel have been like supportive of you, you know, as you've kind of taken that step and taken this journey so far?
I feel like everyone that ever fucked with me before, they still fuck with me. You feel me? And I feel like when there's times where I get to link up with other artists and I play them my new shit and what's to come, and they be like, "Yeah, you really doing it." You feel me? Like shout out All Black, my boy from Oakland. I played.
Right.
He's one of the first. He's one of the first people I played my on my release shit for like a few months back. And he
Mm-hmm.
just looked at me like, "Damn, this what you needed. Like, like this what you need. That's what the fuck you needed to do right there. You did what you needed to do." I was like,
um
"Yeah."
Go ahead.
Yeah, nah, but everyone's been supportive, man. Everyone fucked with me, and I fuck with everyone. You know, I'm a big fan of everyone's music before I'm a friend.
Right.
So, so yeah, it's really good.
What's your creative process like? Like, kind of what goes into you making a song? Like, it could be any of the songs you've made. Like, kind of what was that like?
Man, I just like I like more of, you know, my shit ain't too like, my lyrics ain't deep or nothing. Like I just like vibed up shit. So I like going out, vibing up, man. I might go turn up for a weekend or two, and then get in the studio after, get focused, and then really just try to be like, damn, well, what's gonna hit in the club, like how I was vibing up in the club, you feel me?
Right, right. And that, but that's smart though. I think, and also like an advanced way of looking at it or going to parties and being like, what can I make that would also work in this same place, as
Yeah,
opposed to you
exactly.
thinking too much about like, all right, what do I want to make? Like, it's always about what you want to make, but you also kind of look at it the
Hmm.
other way, like, what do people
Hmm.
want to hear from me?
Hell yeah, for sure.
Kind of what have fans been saying to you, you know, as you have been like a solo act? Like, kind of are there things that come up all the time, or like they want a certain sound from you, or like is that
I feel
happening?
like people want that old sound, but I feel like, I mean, I got millions of listeners. You feel me? So it's like one in fucking. I see a comment here and there, so that shit don't mean nothing to me, because it's like they want that old fucking whatever 2000 whatever 16 17 Shoreline sound. But once this shit drop, I feel like if you're not growing with my music, then you just not growing as a person, man. You got to grow with the artist that you fuck with, man, because they really the people that inspire you and shit like that. Because I'm inspired by a lot of artists, and the growth is everything.
Right, right. Also, too, I think um, fans don't think about the fact that 2016, 2017, kind of a long time ago. And you know, y'all were like really young, and you know, your tastes
Yeah,
and kind of how you
exactly.
make music, all of that changes. So, you know, you kind of just kind
Exactly.
of got to go along with it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, so you know, tell me about GeezyWorld. I know y'all sat down, y'all strategized like this is how you want to go about it. You're not just gonna drop a million song mixtape before like we're gonna like take every step to make this, you know, work the right way. So kind of tell me about like the album and kind of and you know and making it.
So pretty much I had came up with like the first draft of it, like pre-COVID, almost going into COVID, and then boom, COVID hit. Then it was like a confusing 5-6 months, the first half of COVID. Nah, maybe like the first 3 months. Like I had bad writer's block. I went from going out and traveling every day, going from city to city, state to state, to just doing nothing at all. So it was a pretty confusing time.
Mm-hmm.
And then but I gotta figure out how I'm gonna take this whole experience. I'm either gonna kick it at home, fucking eat bad and just fuck up, or I'm gonna just sit down, focus up, kick it with my son, get healthy. And that's exactly what I did, man. I started working out, eating healthy, started going to the studio. I met my engineer. He's part of my team, my guy Tez, shout out Tez. And I got super comfortable with him. And I just feel like I started finding myself, finding my sound, my new sound, everything.
Right. Um, I think the getting healthy thing is really important. I think because how do you think that helped you like musically and creatively? Because I mean, it obviously helps you physically and mentally. So how does that play into
Mm-hmm.
like the music and how better you were in the studio?
I think everything plays into each other. You feel me? Like with being healthy, it just makes me feel myself. Like obviously, everyone knows that working out and all that releases serotonin and all that. So it just puts you in a good mood. So I'm in the studio feeling myself. I'm feeling good. I like how I look. I like how I feel. And it just make the music sound better. I think the music sound hella player. You feel me? I just sound like I know I look good. I feel good. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So
And go
it
ahead.
just get me like super cocky. I feel like anyone that's super healthy with it, like I think you got like a different type of cockiness about you.
Right. And two, you made the first draft before COVID hit, and then COVID strikes, and then you're kind of going through writer's block and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
realistically,
Then
you
then
go
when
ahead.
I got back in that mode, I threw that first draft away. I was like, oh yeah, we changing all this shit.
Right. Because that's what I was gonna ask. I was gonna like, so what kind of became of the first draft? You just moved on from it.
I think I kept like maybe one or two songs on GeezyWorld. I got to look at it. It might be just one though, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And
everything else just came like I made it like around October time.
right,
October last year. That's when I met my fucking engineer. I got super comfortable with him.
right. Kind of, how did you stay patient through that? Because I mean, of course, you wanted to come out a really long time ago, and you start
Mm-hmm.
rolling, and then you got to stop because of the pandemic.
Yeah, that shit at first it was like it was like disheartening. Like it was kind of like, damn, like what the fuck is to come now? And then on top of that, I wasn't in a good headspace. Like the whole group shit had just like been announced. You feel me? Like, oh, we're not a group no more. All types of shit. That I think that was announced like the first week of COVID or something.
Right,
So it was kind of like it was a fucked up headspace. But I'm like, man, I had like really it was kind of like depressing. But I'm like, yo, I got to turn all this shit around, and that's when I started really focusing on my health, focusing on my son. I spent every day with my son. I got to see my son every day, so it COVID ended up being a really good thing for me. I started focusing on my merch, got my merch game up, man. And that's what kept me up throughout the whole thing.
right. Let's talk about the merch, man. You have like a whole like wing for women, and like let's talk about all of that.
Yeah, man. I got eyelashes for women because I know women love me. You feel me? So you got to go on my website, go cop that right now. I got eyelashes. We got thongs. We got women's gear. You feel me? My baby mama be coming up with all the girls line. Me and her came up with the idea to sew the lashes together. What's it called? I got the guys line. Everything is OTX boys, wavy baby. You feel me? hella wave girls, all that, and all that just stems like OTX boys just stems from the graffiti thing, like the graffiti culture, skate culture. So, trying to make my shit as as like I try to tend to all those kids. You feel me? Like all the street kids.
Right. How is that something that you realized you wanted to get into, or something that you could like do well at?
I think it's something I always wanted to do as well as music. It just like being a kid, like, and coming from nothing, you kind of almost feel like these things are impossible. And like being an artist, it's almost like it not to tell anyone you can't do it, but being an artist is almost like a cheat code. Like I could put out merch and it's gonna sell. You feel me? So it was kind of like I got into all these things. Like the music is like a gateway for me to do everything else I've always wanted to do.
Right. Right. Um, I know earlier you talked about there not being a lot of you knowing that there were Hispanic rappers, but they weren't doing it the way you particularly were. There weren't as many. Kind of, I didn't like. Kind of, how does like your heritage kind of inspire you to kind of keep pushing and keep doing more? And on top of that, why do you think there aren't more like Hispanic rappers kind of making noise?
It's not that they're not making noise, it's that they wasn't doing it like me.
Mm-hmm.
And now I feel like I inspired a whole wave, a whole generation of this. So like I see everybody trying to rap like 2017, 2018 me, and that's cool. And I want them to listen to this new shit and make them grow with it too, just like any other fan. Just how I grow when I listen to some, like how much Future's grown. You feel me? Like I listen to other artists elevate, and that should just inspire you to be better and bigger. You feel me? So that's what this project gonna do for everyone. So I know I'm a big important piece to my culture, and they love me and I love them. And shit, I'm just gonna keep growing. They're gonna keep growing with me. You feel me?
Right. Right.
I want to get into the to Latin thing too, man. I'm gonna start fucking with these like I've always wanted to do some reggaeton shit, man. I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to jump on that.
Right. No, and I think now is a really good time for it too, because I know
Mm-hmm.
it feels like by the year, like reggaeton starts to open up more to like rappers, and now it's especially like American rappers. Like there's
Yeah,
always that room for that to happen. So right,
hell
I
yeah,
think that would be a great idea, 100%.
for sure,
Um,
for sure.
and also too, like speaking of you wanting to do that, like kind of how did you like build that confidence like in your music when you're like, yo, I could do whatever I want to do or whatever. Like if I have an idea, I can turn that into something. Like kind of how did you get to that point?
I feel like that comes with like just being a rapper. I feel like being a rapper overall, you gotta have some type of cockiness and big ego. You feel me? Like you gotta know that you him. Like
Mm-hmm.
so, I feel like I can do whatever I want.
Right. Especially too because rap is super competitive. It kind of always was, but now like, there's a lot of rappers, so it's just like you gotta believe in what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You gotta believe it 100% with all your heart.
Right. Um, right now, the singles from GeezyWorld are doing well. We Get Fly, with the baby being the biggest one. Um, why do you think that was the one that's like sticking and like really working for you? And kind of how do you feel about what the baby brought to it?
I feel like it's work. That's really the first single. There's only two singles out right now,
Right.
so one out of two, one got to stick. You feel me? And I think that one works because the baby's like one of the biggest artists in the whole world right now, and us coming together was like totally unexpected. That's what I like most about it, that it was unexpected, but it was so smooth. Like it went together so well. So that's why I think everybody's fucking with it. I think it surprised everybody, and it just let them know like I'm elevating. You feel me? From the feature, from who it is to how I sound to how I look. Everything,
Right.
everything just elevating.
Um,
I
when
think I'm
Go
making
ahead.
my. I think my bad.
No, go ahead.
I think it's really sticking and really working because my fans are seeing me grow, and I think they proud of me. I think they proud of that shit for real.
Right. Um, so kind of when GeezyWorld drops, when it hits the streets and everybody's heard it, and it's really going out there. What do you want like people to take from it? How do you want fans to feel from it? I mean, in addition to, I like that this is good. Like, what do you want them to like take from it, and kind of how do you want people to see you after it drops?
Man, well, first of all, I want my core audience to like just know I'm growing up. You feel me? And even though this like party music and it's vibed up, just is you feel me? Like the whole sound, it just make you feel a certain type of way. Like like the way I feel like listening to Lil Durk or something. Like I feel like a different type of way than listening to someone else. You feel me? Like so I just want them to feel it and just know that like I'm turning into a different person and they're gonna grow with me, and I want them to keep listening to me forever, you feel me, and just keep growing with me. I'm just gonna keep getting better and better.
Right. You mentioned, being a dad earlier, and kind
Hmm.
of how that's affected you and kind of, made you feel differently and kind of about just life in general, as that, tends to do.
For
Um,
sure.
how do you think being a father has changed your perspective on your life and also like your career?
Man, that shit it changed me a lot because it made me kind of stop caring about so many other people. I think before I was so consumed in like making sure everyone I knew was okay, but once he was born, it was kind of like this is the only person I need to make sure that's okay for the rest of my life. Like it made me care less about everything, which I think made me better.
Right. So you felt before like you felt like you were too like you were overthinking things, or you were too like attached to kind of like worldly stuff.
Yeah, I was too consumed in making sure that every single person, like the most random people, was like good. They was straight. You feel me? And once he was born, it was kind of like, nah, I'm a dad now. Like that's the person I got to take care of. That's the person I got to raise and look after.
Right. With everything you've done so far within your career, and outside of it, with the business ventures and stuff like that. Um, Kind of where do you want to like what heights do you aspire to? Is there like a rapper you grew up listening to where you were like, I would want to reach that kind of height? Or
I
like
I
kind of where
I,
do you see?
I ain't grow up listening to him, but I definitely want to take my brand to like a height like Yeezy, like Kanye, how he did Yeezy. I want to make my shit like that, my brand. I want to like the music shit. I want to be bigger than I ever imagined. You feel me? I want to be like type pop star shit. You feel me?
Right, right. It's that
I
kind of
want to
what
take I want to take
but
my I want to take my brand, my music, every one of my brands, my women's brand. Shit, I got the weed brand. I want to do that shit like Burner. You feel me? Like it's different people and it's levels to everything, and I want to reach every height for every aspect of my career.
right. With the music stuff, the success for y'all, it happened, kind of early, really, and it happened really smoothly, and you're hitting stages all over the country as you were talking about before. Um, how did you stay motivated from back then to right now with everything that you've done already? And I mean, you kind of like if you really look at it, like you've outshot a lot of careers, like like already. Like there's definitely plenty of rappers who wish they did what you've already done. So
Mm-hmm.
kind of how do you still keep your head in it and be like, there's still more for me to do?
It almost feels like the job's never complete. Like I just want more and more. Like I just want to prove. I just want to prove to myself. Like I just want to be the biggest inspiration to all these kids, to my son. Most importantly, like you just never stop striving. You feel me? You just want more. But I'm forever grateful. You feel me? I want more, but I'm grateful for everything I've ever done.
Right, right, right. Um, just overall, man, is there anything kind of in your career so far that like within the music? Is there anything you would have changed? Anything you wish you approached differently or thought about differently, kind of leading up to this point?
And nothing. It made me who I am, and I think that everything's a learning lesson. Everything's meant to be the way it plays out. You feel me? It's all God's plan.
Right, right. I know now, of course, talking to you a bunch of times, I think you seem like really like serious and kind of like locked in on the music and locked in on what you want to do and what you want to do with your future. um
Hmm.
when did you feel that change in yourself? Because I mean, nobody notices it more than the person it's happening to.
I think really when COVID happened and I got to spend a lot of time by myself because you're not out, you're not going to parties, you're not at the club, you're not traveling. I got to sit down and really just think a lot. Like weeks on end where I wouldn't hang out with no one but my girl and my son. And then even then, like I'd be just thinking, just like almost plotting this shit out in my head, like just like manifesting everything that's about to come. You feel me?
Right, right. No, for sure. Before we wrap this up, is there anything you want to talk about that I didn't ask you about? Anything you wanted to bring up?
Shit, man, just be ready for that project, man. We got to send it to you so you can listen to it
Oh yeah, for
beforehand.
sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely, I appreciate that.
yeah, I need your opinion, bro. You've been fucking with me since day one, man.
Right. Nah, that's real. I appreciate that. Hey man, just hit me. We'll definitely talk.
Yes,
But
sir.
I
Hell yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you for setting the time aside to talk about, your career, everything you got
Yeah, no
going on.
doubt, no doubt.
I know you're a busy man. You got a lot going on right now.
Yes, sir, man. I got a fucking performance tonight. I got a video coming out. I got a big announcement tomorrow. Tomorrow we finna announce some cool shit. So I'm super happy right now. My life went from well, everyone's life went from doing nothing for a whole year to just being crazy busy. And that's that shit honestly felt like a blessing. Like I'm excited to be busy. I'm happy. You feel me? I'm running around. I'm doing so much. I feel like I'm doing more than I ever did before, and I'm really happy about that shit.
Right. No, absolutely. I totally get that, man. But thank you. I appreciate it. All right,
So
man.
yeah, appreciate you, bro. Thank you. Love.